Welcome to Manna at the Tap, a podcast from Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna. It nourishes our souls, fostering spiritual growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Today is Monday, June 30th, 2025, the third week after Pentecost in the season of ordinary time. This is the time for us to live an extraordinary disciplined life as we experience spiritual growth. The lectionary reading is from 1 John, a five-chapter book in the New Testament written by the Apostle John. He was the last surviving member of Jesus' original disciples, and he authored the Gospel of John, the book of Revelation, that's the final book of the Bible, and three short letters known as 1st John, 2nd John, and 3rd John. At the time of writing, the Apostle John had been exiled and imprisoned on the Isle of Patmos, located off the west coast of Turkey. The recipients of his writings were small communities scattered throughout Asia Minor who were also facing persecution for their faith. In the writing of 1st John chapter 2, he declared the good news about Jesus, and he aimed for the recipients to experience genuine fellowship with God and with God's people. Most importantly, though, he wanted them to understand how deeply God loved them. John said the core of life is knowing that God loves you, and the purpose of life is to love one another with God's love. This is easier said than done. It is a dilemma that people faced in John's day, and it remains the same today. We all want to be loved. We all yearn to be loved and to experience love. On the last night, when Jesus was having dinner with his disciples, he told them that he was updating the Old Testament commandment that said one should love one's neighbor as oneself. Jesus added a new phrase to the old commandment: to love one another as I have loved you. So the new commandment is love your neighbor as you love yourself. But to love one another, you need to love them as I have loved you. In verses 7 to 8 of our lectionary reading, John introduced the community receiving his letter to that new phrase: as I have loved you, you will be able to love another person with God's love. And this is made possible through the shared life with Jesus and fellowship through the Spirit. John compared it to the darkness passing and the true light beginning to shine. Now, I want you to note carefully, John did not say the darkness has passed. It is passing away. And you may wonder what the darkness is that is passing away. Well, here are some dark moments in our lives. There is the darkness of unforgiveness, the darkness of hatred and indifference, and the darkness of anger toward one another. as the light of God's character fills us and it grips us, and as we grow in God's grace and fellowship, then we can love one another. How can one measure their own progress, or how do you determine how far you've come, or whether you have even started? In the closing verses of the lectionary reading, verses 9 to 11, John provides a test you can administer yourself. Anyone who claims to live in God's light and is clinging to the darkness of unforgiveness, hatred, indifference, and anger towards another person is still in the dark. Loving one another with the same love that Jesus shows us helps us to live in the light of God's love.